Personally, I think everybody could benefit from the home visiting programs.
I think that as a parent now, I'm grateful for support more than I was before.
I filled out that form not knowing what I was doing. I am very, very grateful that I did it because it's really helping me a lot.
Bueno, creo que por mi parte esperaba algo totalmente diferente, como un programa más frío, por decir algo, no tan cercano a la familia. Y a través del programa nos hemos dado cuenta que también pasa a ser una familia con nosotros porque nos apoya en los momentos difíciles o cuando nos hemos visto en dificultades.
Well, I was a new mom and I had no experience taking care of a newborn.
There isn't like a book on how to raise a kid.
We come from like a lot of family history of, drugs, violence, alcoholism, so we didn't want our daughter to experience any of that.
The thought that a parent was supposed to be loving, nurturing, supposed to be there for their kid, provide food, shelter, joy, and going in, becoming a parent for her, I had no clue how to provide that.
Cómo pensar educarla, cómo educar a un hijo porque pues nosotros nunca, es la primera vez que íbamos a ser padres.
What I think parents should know about home visiting is that you can learn a lot of new things and tips and tricks how to
LAFCO meeting to order and invite roll call, please. I think maybe your microphone.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Commissioner Ward.
Here.
Commissioner Klein.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Present.
Commissioner Horsley. Here. Commissioner Mahoney. Commissioner Roden. Commissioner Crane. Commissioner Hashik. Commissioner Zakaria. And Chair Mulhern.
Here. Okay, at this time I'd like to call for public expression. The Commission welcomes participation in the LAFCO meeting. Any person may address the Commission on any subject within the jurisdiction of LAFCO which is not on the agenda. There is a 3-minute limit and no action will be taken at this meeting. Are there any members of the public in the room that wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing no one come forward, are there any members of the public on Zoom that wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing no hands raised on Zoom, we will move on to item number 4, the consent calendar. This is the March 3rd, 2025 regular meeting summary and the March claims and financial report. Commissioner Ward.
Yes, I have a question on both.
Okay.
The finance and the minutes. I don't believe all the commissioners get all the invoicing, right? Specifically the one from the auditor's controller's office regarding the A87 costs. I think I'm the only one that gets those invoices. I don't think they're, anyway. I had a question of why the A87 went up. I see it was a carry forward of $959 from 2 years ago, I believe, instead of the previous year. And I also had a question on $3,400 in information services. What are those?
Those are the A87 costs are the overhead that is charged.
Yeah, I know that, but it's part of the auditor, controller, the treasurer, but then there was information services down at the very bottom.
That is
because we pay our own GIS and we pay our others, or our own fees for the other things. Why $3,400?
we do pay the bills, but we also get charged for overhead with the annual A87 costs.
Yeah.
So it's in addition to, and it's typical from.
So it went from $3,500 to like $5,000, which is a pretty good jump, and then you're anticipating next budget about $6,000. But are we going to have that as carry forwards every year of almost $1,000? You think?
Shouldn't. No.
So we might be over budgeting for A87 costs then.
It might be.
Okay.
All we can do is get an estimate from the county, and it is.
Yeah, it's always thrown at us at the last minute, and it's frustrating sometimes. That was the only question with regard to the claims. On the minutes, on page 7, it states a determination for the MCHCD MSR. It will be dependent upon the financial audit reports completed and the state's officers' financial summaries to update the district to see if they actually are in the black or the red. So I think our last audit report was 21 or something like that. So they're about 2 or 3 years behind. But we have several districts that are 2 or 3 years behind too. How do they figure their apportionment fees that on a financial statement is 3 years old?
The auditor controller bases it on the last available financial statement that's submitted to the state controller.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I state then that the health district was probably 3 years ago in the black. Why couldn't they use that then? Even though we're saying, well, we're waiting until it's all caught up. Well, a lot of districts aren't caught up.
The healthcare district was still in the red at that time. They have been in the red for approximately 10 years.
I thought there
or
was
more.
1 year that they didn't. Anyway, it was just an interesting deal that some of these are quite far behind. Then on page 9, there was, and you noted, E.O. Henman noted the MSR update can be revised to include the MOU prior to the public hearing. That's with regard to the Potter Valley Irrigation District. And I state that Vice Chair recommend the staff include a description of the June deadline in the study, in the MSR study. And Commissioner Horsley commented that she'll provide E.O. Henman with a copy of the signed MOU for the study. Did both those get in the study? I didn't see them.
We provided a link to the document rather than actually attached it to the MSR, which we can do as an appendix if.
Yeah, I just think
preferable.
it's important that MSR, we may not see that MSR in another 5 years or so. So I think it's important that that study gets in there. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any pens up. Are there any members of the public that had questions on the consent calendar? That's the March meeting summary as well as the claims and financial reports. I'm not seeing anyone come forward in the room, and I have no hands raised on Zoom, so I would just be looking for a motion for approval.
I'd like to make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Roden, Commissioner Mahoney, Commissioner Horsley,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Chair Mulhern.
Yes. Thank you. We can now move on to item 5A, the Potter Valley Irrigation District Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence Update. E.O. Henman, are you starting this one off?
I am, thank you. Going to share a screen. Too many things open. Geez, there we go. Okay, this is the Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence Update public hearing for the Potter Valley Irrigation District. Municipal service reviews are an agency's governance, are a study of an agency's governance and provides an inventory and analysis of an agency's services. And municipal service reviews are required prior to or in conjunction with sphere of influence updates, which are required to be reviewed every 5 years or as necessary. A sphere of influence is the probable future boundary and service area of an agency as adopted by the Commission. This is the second round MSR and sphere of influence for the district. The current sphere was adopted in 2017. The commission held a workshop on the draft MSR sphere update for the district on February 3rd and the commission provided direction to staff. Staff has since worked with the district to address the comments and questions and have incorporated them into the draft before you today. A list of revisions is included in your staff report on page 17. Additionally, minor revisions were made to correct formatting consistencies and update citations and references throughout the document. The MSR and sphere determinations are on page 65 and 73, respectively. The list of revisions is in your staff report on PDF, page 17. Today, the Commission will consider the public testimony and adoption of the MSR and sphere update. The Potter Valley Irrigation District was formed in April of 1924 as a single service provider providing irrigation water to approximately 275 customers. The water is diverted from the Eel River through the Potter Valley Project. The district has a boundary of approximately 7,000 acres and a sphere that extends beyond the boundaries to approximate the valley floor of Potter Valley. Municipal services to Potter Valley include fire and EMS from Potter Valley Community Services District and police from Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. Water and wastewater is primarily private wells and septic systems. Staff is recommending the Commission affirm the existing sphere of influence, finding that the district provides adequate service and no need for outside agency services have been identified within the planning horizon of the study. The district does concur. As required by state law, a 21-day public hearing notice was properly published, posted, and distributed on March 9th. Proof of that publication is included in your agenda packet on page 121. No public comments have been received to date. The study is exempt from CEQA, and a draft notice of exemption is included in your packet on page 20. Staff recommends that the Commission find the Potter Valley Irrigation District MSR as categorically exempt from CEQA, and that the sphere of influence update is also exempt from CEQA, and approve the notice of exemption for filing and adopt resolution number 2024-2511, approving the adoption of Potter Valley Irrigation District's municipal service review and sphere of influence update. I would like to give special thanks to the current superintendent, Don Brown, and the retired superintendent, Stephen Elliott, for all of their assistance with preparing the study. They've been very responsive and engaged throughout the process. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any board members that have questions? Not seeing any Commissioner Ward.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
Commissioner Ward.
Okay, thank you. I had a couple changes. I went on the website of the district, and they're really good at the agendas, but I didn't see any minutes. And I think usually you have your agenda, your minutes summarize what happened and all, and I didn't see that. So that's one thing. I also noticed in the website that Ken Stroh resigned, and we currently still have him as a board member in our MSR packet. And then on 2-26 talks about bylaws. The bylaws were revised again on 3/20/24, which is I would assume an updated set of bylaws that need to be stated. And then I know I guess it's my accounting background, but there are reserve funds of $291,000 for whatever they're reserved for, but on the financial statements, it's all included in cash. And it should be separated out as cash and reserves. And then the last one is, we're all concerned about what's going to happen with the project and how the water is going to get diverted and whether they're going to have enough revenue from the water and whatnot. And the financial statements are not great. So I wouldn't say that they're in financial good shape. So I'm having a concern about the stability there. So it does say in MSR they're doing really well, which I don't know if it is, especially with the unknown in the future what those revenues are going to be if they don't get this project done. So those are all the things I had to bring up.
Thank you for that. Are there any other commissioners that have questions or comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So at this time, I'd like to invite any members of the public that wish to comment on this item to come forward. Good morning. If you
Good
could
morning.
state your name for the record.
Janet Pauley. I'm speaking right now as the president of the Potter Valley Irrigation District. Unfortunately, President Stroh passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I've been appointed as the new president. I've been on the board since 1988. I have not been engaged as much as our superintendents have been on the MSR. But let me just quickly, because I'm on the agenda to speak later regarding the Potter Valley project. We'll address your concerns, and I'm sure Uma can talk to our superintendents about the specifics. I think up until this point, our financial situation has been adequate. We are in the process of starting to look into the process of raising rates, considering that the changes are coming and we're going to need more funding to address them. Potter Valley Irrigation District has been a member of the Inland Water and Power Commission since 1996, and so we've been engaged constantly with regard to the Potter Valley project and what's happening there. With your question regarding how soon we might see changes in the way water is delivered, all I can tell you is that the process that we're in right now is about to move, this whole issue is about to move into the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's court. And at that point in time, we're not sure how soon FERC will address this and actually prepare an order for how things might change at this project. We know that often when FERC gets a decision that needs to be made, it can take years to come to that place. Once FERC orders the PG&E to address the decommissioning, at that point in time, a process is going to move forward with regards to PG&E's desire to remove Scott Dam and Cape Horn Dam, and for us to build a new diversion facility. How long that's going to take, I can't tell you. We don't anticipate it being as fast as some of folks would like it to be, who would like to see the project disappear. But on the other hand, we can't wait to see what that timing looks like. We have to prepare now to move forward in anticipation of what PG&E wishes to do with that project, that it's actually going to occur. So in terms of, if you're worried about a new MSR and what might change between today and then, I wouldn't have too much concern that this is going to be a rapid series of events. It's going to take some time. So I think at least that concern in your mind, I wouldn't be too concerned about at this point in time.
Well, thank you for your comments, and sorry about Ken.
Yeah.
I think I went to school with him back in the day, so. But I didn't say that in the minutes. He just said he resigned, or.
Yeah, I
so
know.
I
Well,
didn't know
you
he
may
died.
not have been aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just passed away after quite a long illness.
Sorry.
We miss him very much.
Commissioner Horsley, did you have a question?
Janet, I believe one of our consultants gave us, and it's just a guess, but the earliest that he thinks that anything could really happen would be 2032. So that would be the earliest that things would change as far as water diversion, and it could be a lot further out. So that's at least a 5-year time.
And I think that's probably optimistic if you're looking at it from PG&E's point of view, because they'd like to have this done yesterday. But from our perspective, you did mention the economics of this. If we cannot find and secure storage in Potter Valley or more water that we could use in the summertime, it will absolutely impact our ability to make enough money to continue to function as a district if we're only going to be getting water that we can use early in the system, in the season. So there's a lot of changes that may occur, a lot of things that have to happen to make the new diversion facility function so that it's something that we can absolutely use and continue to irrigate.
Commissioner Ward, a follow-up question?
Yeah, I had a follow-up. My other concern was there's been a lot of consulting going on with what's, you're hiring this company, that company, and it was a little confusing where the money's going to all come from. And I know Sonoma County did a grant program and stuff, but it just concerns down the road where this money's going to come from. Is it, if you have to rely on your customers, it may be a problem.
Well, and we are, again, we're a member of the Inland Water and Power Commission, the JPA, that was formed in the 90s specifically to try and protect the water from the Potter Valley Project, and now is a local sponsor with the Army Corps to raise Coyote Valley Dam. Those 5 agencies, of which you have 4 people on your commission right now who are involved with IWPC, are the member agencies that have funded to date all of the work that we needed to do in Mendocino County. Sonoma Water has contributed to that extensively, Sonoma County, and that will continue, but we are all looking at the future funding needs that are going to be required, and that's something that we're actually right now at the Commission working very hard on to look forward thinking. We've formed, and I'll just say now and then I won't have to do it later, we formed a JPA called the Eel Russian Project Authority. And that was formed because PG&E did not want to work with individual entities like IWPC, Sonoma Water, the Round Valley Tribes, et cetera. So we formed this new JPA. It will be the entity that will own and operate and fund the ongoing diversion when that occurs and when we get to that place. And at that point in time, the funding is going to have to come from all of the people who benefit from this water supply, not just individual entities, not just the city of Ukiah and the county and Redwood Valley and Potter and flood control.
So that JPA will, when will it go into effect, or is it already in effect?
It exists, legally exists. We've had 2 meetings. Now, it's sort of one of those situations where we really don't know what we have to do until somebody decides what we have to do. Yeah. And that's with regards to this position we're in right now with PG&E. It's going to be filing their final license surrender plan to FERC at the end of July.
So once you they become operational of the facility, this new JPA, we won't have any oversight on it anymore.
I don't know that. I'm not sure what
we don't have oversight for JPAs.
Then you won't.
So that's why my concern today.
But IWPC, well, PVID will still exist.
But the operation of the facility would be by JPA.
Of the diversion. Any operation of irrigation delivery in Potter Valley will remain with the irrigation district. I don't see that changing at this point in time, but good. We don't know.
Thank you very much, Janet.
Sure.
Inga, are there any other commissioners that have questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any. And are there any members of the public that have questions or comments? Additional members of the public? Also not seeing any, and I do not have any hands raised on Zoom. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Roden?
I was going to move the recommended action.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, both actions.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Does that include the changes to the MSR too?
Well, what we have, this includes changes.
Yeah, the updated bylaws and
Commissioner.
And I guess a change in Kinstro to somebody else. Just to make it updated.
You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. I did find a sentence that I didn't understand. It's on. Well, I have a hard copy, so I can tell you the section. It's 4.5.2. And so it's about 2/3 of the way down. Tell me if you're there, Uma. PG&E, and the sentence starts PG&E and IRPA. Mm-hmm. And the sentence starts, in addition, right below that.
Okay.
Do you see how it doesn't sense?
Did you say page, I'm sorry, did you say 4.5.2?
Yes.
That's page 74 of our board packet.
Thank you.
And it's the section headed present and probable need for facilities and services in the area?
Yes.
Okay, great. Could you please repeat which sentence?
It's, it starts, in addition, no, it starts, yeah. In addition, PG&E will attempt to enter into legal agreements with other agencies and parties where their interest is related to the Potter Valley facility removal falls outside of the FERC surrender proceeding. Anyway.
If we add that after removal, is it the removal? Seems like there's a word missing in there. Is related to the Potter Valley facility removal that falls outside the FERC surrender proceedings?
Yeah, I guess that's it. That's all. Okay, so with that, I move the recommended action with that change.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Aye.
Seconded by Gonzalez, and if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner Klein.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Commissioner Horsley.
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney. Commissioner Roden.
Yes.
And Chair Mulhern.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on to item 5B, the proposed budget and work program for 25-26. Leo Hinman, do you want to take this one?
Thank you. I have a brief presentation. Share a screen. Thank you for your patience. Okay. The budget process for local agency formations commissions is set forth in state code and also in Mendocino LAFCO policy. Government code directs that the annual budget shall not be less than the previous year unless the commission finds that the reduction will not impact its ability to fulfill its purposes and programs. Our local policy establishes the process and schedule for budget development. The annual budget development process begins in February with the executive officer developing a preliminary budget and work program and development of the... Everything okay, Scott? Development of the budget is based on the previous year's budgets and actuals, projections of known trends, and identification.
Wants to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Development of the budget is based on the previous year's budgets and actuals, projections based on known trends, and identification of organizational needs and improvements. The executive officer presents the preliminary budget and work program to the executive committee in March for discussion, feedback, and a recommendation of a proposed budget and work program for the commission. The commission holds a public hearing and adopts a proposed budget and work program in April, as recommended or as modified. The executive officer then distributes the proposed budget and work program to the 54 member agencies that are affected, including 49 independent special districts, 4 cities, and the county. The commission then holds a public hearing on the final budget and work program in May or June. Upon adoption, the executive officer again distributes the final budget and work program to all member agencies as well as the county auditor controller. Expenditures are categorized into basic services, which is staffing, services and supplies, and the work program. Basic services is 47% of the proposed budget and includes the executive officer, an analyst, and a clerk analyst. Services and supplies is approximately 23% of the budget. And our expenses are related to office operations, memberships, conferences and trainings, and also includes contract services, including the legal counsel, GIS services, which is our mapping and information services. The work plan is our schedule of municipal service reviews and sphere of influence studies that are prioritized for the year and represents 30% of our proposed budget. Basic services and the work plan are described in the annual work program, which includes staffing for day-to-day operations, carrying out the responsibility and direction of the commission, conducting meetings, developing policies and procedures, conducting outreach to member agencies, and responding to public inquiries. It also identifies organizational improvements and the work plan for the next year. Staff maintain a rolling work plan to assist with prioritizing and scheduling agencies for MSR and sphere updates. Priorities are based on municipal service providers, the date of the last sphere update, and any known issues or development pressures. We also try to coordinate our studies with general plan updates and long-range planning studies when possible for more comprehensive regional planning as well as efficiencies. Implementation of the work plan can be in-house by staff or outsourced to consultants if needed, depending on staff capacity and need for specific expertise. The proposed work plan for next fiscal year includes completion of studies initiated this year, which is dependent on commission direction on item 7C, which is later in our agenda today. If that is approved, staff will initiate the cities of Point Arena and Willits this month. We are also working on the Mendocino Coast Recreation and Park District MSR. All of these studies are expected to roll into next fiscal year. In 2024, a grand jury report on the Mendocino Coast Healthcare District included a finding and recommendation that LAFCO update that district's municipal service review. Our last communication with the district was that they are working on a multi-year audit that should be done mid-year. Because that report will be important for the development of the MSR, we communicated the delay to the grand jury, and it is recommended to be included in next year's work plan. Also proposed for next year is initiating a comprehensive county-wide study of fire and emergency medical services service providers. The last study of fire service providers was in 2018. The study will include 18 agencies, and for coordinating research, budgeting, it is expected to take multiple years to complete that study. Revenue comes from 4 primary sources: unreserved equity or cash balance that may be applied to the following year, apportionments, interest from our bank accounts, and service fees from application processing. Apportionment fees are established by the Commission with the adoption of the annual budget and collected on our behalf by the County Auditor Controller. The Auditor Controller applies a formula established by the state, which is a 1/3 equal split between the county, the 4 cities, and the 49 independent special districts, and it is based on the previous year's operational revenue. The proposed budget is $332,000, which is a 7.8% increase over the current fiscal year. The greatest variable in our budget is typically the work plan, and we are proposing a substantial effort over the next couple of years. No change to basic services is proposed, and there is a slight decrease in services and supplies. Changes to each line item of the budget are described in attachment 2 of your staff report. The proposed budget includes using $35,000 in unreserved equity and apportionment set at $285,000, which is a 3.6% increase over the current year. Apportionments have remained at $275,000 for the last 2 years. The budget will allow for keeping $20,000 in the work plan contingency. The Executive Committee recommended presenting 2 options for apportionments, keeping them at $275,000 or raising them to $285,000. This is Table 2 in your staff report and provides what that would look like as far as the remaining money for the work plan contingency. I would also like to note that there is an error on page 123. The Table 2 header should read 2025-26 proposed, not 2024-25. In summary, the proposed budget of $332,000 reflects an increase in the work plan budget to initiate that fire and EMS service studies. And apportionment fees are recommended to increase 3.6% to $285,000, which is supported by using $35,000 in unreserved equity from this year. There are no changes proposed to reserves, which are sufficient to meet our policies and targets. The work plan contingency is that portion of the unrestricted equity not applied to next year and consists of unused work plan budget from previous fiscal years. The contingency follows studies that roll into the to the next year and provides some flexibility with work plan implementation. The recommended actions are in your staff report. Unless you want me to read them,
No.
they're on that first page of your staff report.
That's
So
okay.
I'm
I'm
happy
going
to
to
answer
start
questions.
with Commissioner Horsley.
Thank you. On page 125, on the graph there, I'm just wondering, under service fees and interest, why the projected is 19,000, but you're recommending 12,000 for.
The projected of 19,000 reflects the $10,000 deposit that we received from Mendocino Coast Recreation and Park District for preparing that study.
And I just have a general question regarding the fire districts. Do you anticipate those will be less comprehensive, or I should say, less of a staff time to do those compared to the water districts or other districts?
I anticipate when we did the studies in 2018, we did individual studies for each service provider. And when we did those studies, we identified a number of issues. One of them was the amount of area in between the districts that was not covered by service provider boundaries. So this time we hope to do a more regional look at the fire services. I anticipate it will be a pretty substantial effort with a lot of outreach discussions.
Hence the 60,000. Okay. On page 128, on the left-hand side, it says work plan follow. I'm assuming that there's a word missing after that. Maybe follow up or?
Follow up, correct.
Okay. And there was no allocations listed for the different apportionment amounts. So once this is approved, then you'll come out with apportionments for each.
Because it changes every year, I hesitated to put together, I mean, what I could do is put together a spreadsheet based on the operational revenues used for the current fiscal year. But they will change each year based on what those new numbers are.
The revenue for each agency. All right.
And
Thank you.
It is also dependent, I mean, it could change quite a bit if healthcare district is in a positive operational revenue.
Right.
That would affect things quite a bit.
And I'm assuming you don't use capital improvement projects for that revenue. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. So the 60,000 earmarked for the district, fire districts and stuff, said it was going to take 2 years. Are you anticipating another 60,000 next year as well? 120,000 to do?
There was a recent study completed in Nevada County that covered 10 fire districts, and the consultant fee was $110,000 for that study. They said they underbid the job. We're looking at 18 fire services, so I anticipate that, yes, it would be a similar amount in the following fiscal year.
I don't think we ever spent that much money. I know we didn't do it in 2018.
There's a lot of districts, and if we want to, the hope is to do some meaningful studies that can help guide discussions about efficiencies in the fire services.
Okay, to stay I've got a lot of questions on the budget. As you know, I was on the executive committee that didn't want to raise the apportionment fees. But you have 100,000 earmarked, but there's the Mendocino Coast Healthcare District at $23,000. You anticipate that's what it's going to cost, but they're going to pay for it, I thought.
We still don't have commitment from their board that they will pay for it. I did reach out to their administrator and have not had a response yet.
So why do we have to do it?
Well, we told the grand jury that we would prepare a municipal service review.
Well, we can change our mind, can't we? I just don't think it's necessary. I mean, we're having to up our apportionment fees for an agency that doesn't pay us. And then they said in our meetings that they would reimburse us for doing it. And now they're pulling out. I don't think that's fair for the rest of the districts.
Here, here.
So anyway, that was one concern I have. One of the reasons why I don't think our apportionment fees should go up as well is that I believe there's some costs that we can cut back. I know this audit thing we're going to be talking about in the next agenda item, but I just don't think it's necessary to go out for an audit and have double our fees when I think we can get the same auditor to do it for one more year. But that would save about $4,000 or $5,000. Then we've got the A87 cost, which I brought up earlier, I think should be $1,000 cheaper, as well as our operating reserves are 25% of the total budget. But if you do the 25% or do the math, we've overestimated the reserve by $2,000. It's 83.5, not 86.5 or something like that. So, and I really don't understand how our budget is we're doing operating budgets, operating reserves on interest or other things that I don't think are really necessary. I could see it maybe just on apportionment fees and our application fees. But anyway, I still think we can operate our budget at the 275 and not raise it. That's my opinion. I'm not sure if we're going to have enough votes to agree with that, but that's where I think it needs to go. The other thing I have a concern with is I think your applications, even though it's a wash, you have $14,000. We're expecting some kind of application from the city for annexation. I think it's going to be more like $25,000 for all the other things you need to do. And if the county ever gets the tax share agreements with the district, that's going to be a flood of applications coming in. 14,000 isn't going to do it. But I'm not concerned about that from a budget standpoint because those are all revenues coming in to cover it. But what I am concerned is that you've got your $155,000 for your basic services. You've got your work plans, you've got your applications. I mean, it adds up to about $255,000 a year that you and your staff have to do. I'm concerned about that. And you even say that you're a part-time person, 47%. So that's a lot of work for the next year. And I know you try to do it in-house, but I'll talk about that with the work plan, but I just have concerns about you taking on all these applications and work plans, and and do your basic services too. Let's see what else. I guess this is a work plan too. If the city annexes the area that they want, and I think there's three out of 4 of those water districts that will then fold into the annexation. Do we have to continue to do an MSR for those? Or is that something we do with the city of Ukiah once they take them over?
That's correct. Once a district is no longer in existence, then we have no requirement to do studies on them any longer. It would fold into the Ukiah MSR. So
you were anticipating those 4 water services next year, correct? Which would cut back on your time.
The delay would be, when we look at the proposed work plan modification under item 7C, I think those 4 districts would be delayed indefinitely, and pretty much pending and the annexation application from the city of Ukiah. I don't know the details on that, on what is proposed by the city, so I can't say that we would never study those districts again, but they would be an indefinite delay, so we would not have to do them next year.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, again, I'll bring it up when we talk about the work plan later, but I just thought that was something we need to consider too. And I don't know if it was not in your budget, but technically it is if you have to do it next year. So, anyway, I think we can operate with the apportionment fees of $275.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Commissioner Horsley.
I had a question of Commissioner Ward. You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation there
Questions?
that there was $1,000 you were recommending it be reduced by. What was that for? I didn't quite catch it.
The 87 costs, because this year they charged us an additional $980 because of previous. And I made the comment earlier during the minutes that I don't think we're going to get that charge in the future. Therefore, our 87 costs will go probably down next year.
Well, I just want to say I very much support trying to keeping as low as possible. Same. I know it's been two years that we haven't raised, but I know how, at least for the sanitation district, personally here, it's a huge amount. So we anticipate in the next 2 years being rolled into the city. We're hoping. So we won't have to worry about it after that, but I think trying to keep it as low as possible, but at the same time, considering your workload.
Thank you.
I think I have to.
Okay, Commissioner Ward, and then
Go ahead. So I know we're talking about the audit, the next deal, but I think it's pertinent to our discussion with the budget. I know it's recommended we go out to bid, but I don't think we're going to get a bid for $8,000. It's going to be much higher than $8,000, which is going to be a problem. And I don't like the idea of going out to bid for an audit for this fiscal year and our budget when we don't even know the cost. We're just estimating the cost. And I think it would be wise to go to Paling and ask them to do one more year and then go to bid later in the year and come up with a more reasonable audit fee this year. It's just my feeling, because it will be a lot more than $8,000. And I know Russian River Flood Control has an auditor and all, but that I don't think is going to be an $8,000 bid either. So anyway, I just think that we could save money on our audit fees by trying to work something out with Paling this year. And I just like to do it in the future so we know what to expect a year from now, not something to go into our budget. We have no idea what it's going to be.
I have several comments on Commissioner Ward's comments, but I'd like to allow Commissioner Gonzalez to go ahead and go first.
Going to be actually, I like your idea of seeing if Paling would do it one more year and give us that, we go out for an RFP for another auditing group, just because I think we do have to switch every so often. But I would entertain an increase in apportionment fees, but I think if we could keep them lower, I agree with my colleagues that, if we had to increase them, I think that's reasonable given that everything is going up. But if there's a way we could keep them without going the full amount, that would be great. That's it.
Thank you. I serve on the executive committee with Commissioner Ward, and so we did have an opportunity to discuss some of these things. I think, first of all, great job on the presentation, Uma. There's a variety of ways to read the budget and then outline why the expenses maybe have gone up or down. Regarding the AA87 charges, it's not my anticipation that they will go down. The county staff has received increases in wages, so I think having a higher budget in anticipation of that is important. Our job here is to try and make sure that we have enough funds to cover the costs. If this commission wishes to require that the healthcare district fund their study, then as E.O. Hinman said, we can certainly do that, and that cost would be removed. Just regarding the auditor, I do think it is important that we have an RFP and make sure that we occasionally refresh who we have looking at our books if that's available to us. It may not be. It may be the same firm that applies. So I do think that that is important that we look at that. Of course, again, this commission can vote to stick with our current auditor and then go out for RFP in the future. That's, our prerogative as a commission. I don't think that anybody wants to have the apportionment fees go up, but we also have finally been able to get the ball rolling to where we are doing MSRs and SOIs, and we're not constantly just putting stuff on the back burner. So I also don't want to lose that momentum, and I think that's really important to consider. Are there any other commissioners that have comments? Commissioner Roden?
I would like to hear Executive Officer Hinman explain why your recommendation is the way it is to use the carryover cash balance, or to not do that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. One of the reasons for recommending a slightly increased apportionment fee this year is that the fire studies are going to be multi-year effort. As we move into the next fiscal year, 26-27, by increasing it slightly this year, we would have less of a jump that may be required for the next fiscal year. So by keeping it at 285, we will have some cash balance projected by the end of the fiscal year, which would be 20,000. That 20,000 is the work plan contingency, is that portion of the unreserved equity or cash balance at the end of the fiscal year that is not applied to the following year. So at the end of 25-26, we're projected to have a cash balance of 20,000 or work plan contingency. That can be used for the next fiscal year, which would mean that we would have no work plan contingency left. But it's only $20,000 projected, and it would not be sufficient to, it would require a larger bump in apportionment fees in that 26-27. I didn't explain that very smoothly. So if there are questions, I'm not sure. Does that make sense?
Is it true that there would be, there'd be even less if we didn't raise the apportionment fees? We'd only have 10,000.
Correct. So at 285,000 this year, we would have a projection of 20,000 in cash balance at the end of the year. If we keep them at 275,000, we'll have 10,000 left, which would necessitate a larger bump in apportionment fees the following fiscal year.
I'm not a district representative, so I don't feel the pain the way that districts do as a city person, but I also know that it can be advantageous or, helpful to districts to have these small increases instead of, the same thing applies to the general public when we raise utility fees or costs like that. That's harder on people. So, I think that, and also these apportionment fees could potentially be offset if the hospital district ends up contributing its fair share. So anyway, I would support the recommended, where the apportionment fees go up slightly.
Okay. Commissioner Ward, is your pin up again
Yes.
or from before? Okay.
Sorry. I believe it's unreserved. Unreserved, it was $55,000, not 20 at the end of the year. We're going to have $55,000 that we don't need to spend on.
At the end
this
of
year.
This fiscal year,
So
correct.
that's carrying over, right?
$35,000 is in this proposed budget of $285,000 in apportionment for next fiscal year. $35,000 of the cash equity at the end of this year will be applied to the budget.
I get all that. But this is deja vu for me the last few years. I've always argued this and we never get anywhere. I said, okay, I agreed last year that we would not raise it, or 2 years ago we'd raise it, but I always felt that we could get more done if we had more money. And I don't see getting more done because we're always passing things off to the next year. But I will say I represent the public and I am concerned about the district, and that's why I do what I do. And we've raised apportionment fees. I remember back in the day it was $135,000. Now we're at $285,000. It's just getting ridiculous. And, especially when we had to spend $120,000 to do MSRs for 18 district, or the 18 fire districts. I don't know where it's going to go. So I'm not in favor of this apportionment increase, but to go where it's going to go.
Okay, thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to open this item up for public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on item 5B, the proposed budget and work program for 25-26 in the room in Ukiah? Seeing no one come forward at this time, and seeing seeing a hand raised online from Dave Schbach.
Good morning. This is Dave Schbach. I am the chairman of the board of directors of the Mendocino Coast Recreation Park District. However, my comments this morning are on my own as a citizen, although informed by my role on the board. Thank you very much. I want to compliment staff on excellent work in preparing this budget. It's quite thorough and well detailed. The presentation's coherent and easy to understand. So thank you so much for helping bring all of us along on this journey. I also want to concur with the recommendations of staff, particularly with respect to a modest increase in apportionment fees. Representing a district that's spread out over a large geography with very tight budget, I also recognize the extraordinary and growing value of having the capacity of LAFCO to execute municipal study reviews and sphere of influence reviews in a timely way. And that's something that LAFCO has struggled with for decades now. And I think that we're on the ascending limb of capacity and ability to be more timely. I think it's important and can't really underestimate the likely consequences of the fire district study. I think the approach of consolidating a study for 18 districts makes a lot of sense because the approach to landscape level fuel modifications is really going in that direction. That's where the economies of scales are, and that's frankly where the money is going to from the state and federal government. Hopefully the federal government will continue to be our partners here, but it's certainly at the state level. So long story short, thank you very much for this very good work. Thank you very much for including the Rec and Park District in the ongoing work through the next fiscal year. And again, I concur with the recommended action this morning.
Thank you. This time, I would like to bring it back to the board for discussion and a motion. Commissioner Gonzalez?
I'll throw this out and see if it sticks. I would move the budget recommendation, but instead of 285,000 in apportionment, I would go to 280.
What would you use? Is there a particular area?
I'm just throwing that out right now,
Oh.
so I'm just, and then it would be adjusted as so. Just for discussion.
Yes, please.
I think the issue is no increase or a step increase, and that's a tiny step increase. The logistics with our districts that rely on consumer fees are pretty overwhelming to get the consumers in our district on board with any kind of increase and notification that that's going to happen. So I don't see the benefit of a mini step, and I also feel like everyone's aware that everything's going up. And if it puts us a year from now looking at a really big step with those logistics and the increase in price for everything in between, I think it's a safer bet to go with the 285 and get those logistics on board for districts that are being paid for by their consumers.
Thank you. Well, I would say motion fails for lack of a second. So anybody else want to take a shot? Commissioner Roden?
Yeah, I move the recommended action. I think that, with all due respect, Commissioner Ward, we have, you know, we need to get our work done. And, you know, we have been getting our work done, and this is the projected expense. And I'm hopeful that the hospital district is going to be able to be in the black next year, and that will offset some of these expenses. But I agree with Commissioner Mahoney about having incremental increases rather than one giant one. So I move the recommended action. Was the recommended action actually to adopt? We have to choose which one, right? So with the $285,000 apportionment fees.
You know, I'll second, but I would like to see if we could get a hold of Pelling to give us some breathing room for this coming year.
Commissioner Horsley and then Commissioner Ward.
I think if we do vote on this, that there's two caveats. One is that we keep the same auditor for this year, and secondly, that we don't do the hospital unless they can pay for it. I really feel like, I know, all respect to the grand jury, but we're looking at the dollars and everybody else paying for that, and they haven't paid in for years. So those would be my two caveats. If
I would,
all right.
yeah, look towards the motioner in the second if they agree to that.
But, I mean, that sounds sensible, but what do we say to the grand jury?
We've already sent one letter to them letting them know that
we would do.
That we were negotiating, that we were negotiating with the hospital care district and that they would cover the cost. So they have sort of already been aware that we've been trying to work through that process. So I think we would just update that to both the healthcare district and the grand jury and let them know we're still trying to negotiate having that study covered.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner
Accept
Ward.
those amendments.
So
I'm sorry. Commissioner Gonzalez, do you agree with that?
Yes. I
Okay,
do.
now Commissioner
So
Ward. Sorry about that.
your comment just then was that we sent a letter to grand jury stating that they were going to reimburse us?
I don't have the language in front of
I
me.
think
but we've
that's
already
true.
Yeah, we've already communicated with the grand jury.
So
that
they're
we're
not
working with.
reimbursing us. We can go back to the grand jury and tell them that it fell apart. We can't do it.
I think we could go to the grand jury and say we're continuing to work on it, and we don't have to say that it fell apart.
Okay.
'Cause I don't think it fell apart yet. So we're just
Well, when I
continuing the process of having the conversation with the healthcare district, and we absolutely know and would like to have the study done, but we need for them to fund it. I think that is where we're at.
Because I really felt even with the 275 apportionment fees, if they paid their fair share, we'd be money way ahead based on our budget. So if they pay us, we're in great shape. If they don't pay us, we're at 285. So basically, the little districts are paying for it, and I don't like that. Thank you for letting me make that.
No, I do think that we think that's a fair assertion to make, and I think that E.O. Henman can keep this board updated on the process of working with the healthcare district, and certainly if they do come forward and pay their costs, the board would be notified. However, it's sort of a wash because it goes directly to doing the study. So if they pay for the study. If they don't, currently, the way we're talking, if they don't pay, we don't do the study. So we're not spending $23,000 without their $23,000. So I just want to make that clear, and that's kind of, I think, where the board is asking the direction for E.O. Henman. Okay. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Roden?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney? Commissioner Horsley?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein, Commissioner Ward,
No.
and Chair Mulhern.
Yes. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to item 6A, our first workshop of the day, the Westport County Water District Draft Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence Update. E.O. Hinman, are you starting this off? Oh, nope. Analyst Crump. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Yes, staff has prepared a brief presentation. This was the workshop hearing for the Westport County Water District Draft Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence Update. Next slide, please. This is the second Municipal Service Review, or MSR, for the district, the first being adopted in 2014. Since this material on MSRs has already been covered by E.O. Hinman, we'll jump ahead to the next slide. The Westport County Water District was formed in January of 1971. The services provided include water supply and treatment and wastewater collection, treatment, and disposal. The district boundary is 235 acres in size, and they provide water service to approximately 72 customers and wastewater service to 70 customers. The district serves the coastal community of Westport, which has 89 permanent residents with seasonal fluctuations throughout the year. The district also provides outside agency water service to the Westport Beach RV Park and Campground and a single-family residence located adjacent to the district's northern boundary west of State Highway 1. Next slide, please. So here is a map of the district's jurisdictional boundaries. The red tan area is the district service boundaries, and the red border is the sphere of influence. Next slide, please. There are regional providers in the area. Approximately 13 miles south of the district is the city of Fort Bragg and the Fort Bragg Municipal Improvement District. The city of Fort Bragg provides a wide range of municipal services, which include general government, parks, water, and wastewater, to name a few. Approximately 15 miles to the east of the district is the Branscombe Mutual Water Company, which provides residential drinking water. Regional fire service providers include the Westport Volunteer Fire Department, which serves the community of Westport, the Fort Bragg Rural Fire Protection District, and CAL FIRE. Next slide. The district employs 4 staff members comprised of 1 full-time operations manager and chief plant operator, and 3 part-time employees, including an administrator, financial controller, a drinking water plant shift operator and distribution operator, and a drinking water and wastewater plant shift operator. And the district contracts the services of a financial auditor to prepare its financial audits. Next slide, please. The district's primary water supply is a surface water diversion on Wages Creek. Its appropriative water right allows the district to divert flows year-round at a rate of 0.125 cubic feet per second for a maximum 47 acre feet per year. The district also owns a standby groundwater well. Average daily water use for the district is estimated at 12,300 gallons per day. The district has 2 water storage facilities, a water treatment plant, water lines, meters, and fire hydrants shared with the Westport Volunteer Fire Department. The district's wastewater facilities consist of a wastewater treatment plant, 2 aerated ponds, a polishing/storage pond, collection lines, a pumping station, and an open field north of the community for permitted land disposal of treated effluent. The average daily flow is estimated to be 5,865 gallons per day, and the wastewater system has a treatment capacity of a maximum of 20,000 gallons per day, averaging over a period of 30 days. Next slide, please. As a quick reminder, the Sphere of Influence, or SOI, is the plan for the probable future boundary and service area of the agency, as adopted by the Commission. The SOI was last updated in 2015. It is coterminous with the inclusion of the Westport Beach RV Park and Campground, and 1 parcel that had been partially located within the district's boundary. and is owned by the district. No proposed changes to the SOI is recommended, and the district concurs with that. Next slide, please. Today is solely a workshop for the Commission to review, discuss, and request revisions to the study. We welcome public comment at this time. No formal action will be taken on the draft study today, and a public hearing will be scheduled for formal consideration at a later date. Next slide, please. Staff would like to acknowledge and thank the Westport County Water District Operations Manager and Chief Plant Operator John Morrill, and Administrator and Financial Controller Kayla Cooper for their time and assistance with developing the workshop draft for this study. This concludes our presentation, and staff is available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Commissioner Horsley, start with you.
Thank you. On page 164, it mentions that they received operational support from the city of Fort Bragg. I'm just wondering, was the city of Fort Bragg paid for that operational support? And if so, do they feel like they could afford additional support if needed in the future? I know they say there that they're helping them with the underground maintenance, but I would imagine there would be a lot of areas that they could receive some expertise from the city of Fort Bragg. And then on page 181, it talks about, this is the last large paragraph. It says that the Redwood water tank was constructed in the late 70s. However, below that, by 3 lines, it says the tank is leaking and has surpassed its useful lifespan of 15 years. I'm just wondering if that's actually the correct number there.
Thank you.
And then my last question is, you're talking about Form 700s. Is that something new, or is that something that we've had in these MSRs before? And is that just included because it's a requirement of the state to do a Form 700? Is that why we're including it in the MSR? And that was it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Regarding the Form 700 filings, and EO Hinman, feel free if you want to chime in too. I believe that is a state requirement. And then regarding the information regarding, the Redwood water storage tank, I believe that 15 years that was mentioned was an error. So thank you. We will correct that because the tank was installed in the 1970s. So that was an error. And then regarding support from the city of Fort Bragg Public Works Supervisor, the supervisor was not paid. I think it was just an informal coordination and collaboration between the district and the Public Works Supervisor.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I had mentioned this to EO Hinman before the meeting, but it looks like in searching their website, they only meet online. They don't meet in person unless that's, now, again, I'm just curious, do they get a pass or not? And so that's my question.
Thank you for your question. In the study, staff has recommended that the district review the current Brown Act and teleconferencing requirements regarding the conduct of remote meetings to ensure compliance with the Brown Act. Because like you said, I think that is a requirement now for in-person meetings.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Ward.
Yeah, thank you. Well, for 72 customers, is a well-run water district. I'm impressed with their financials, and it looks really good for such a small district. One concern I do have is their assets are about 1.5 million, and they've been fully depreciated since 2019, which is now 5 years. So, which means their assets have already gone through their useful life, including probably a tank. So I'm concerned about, because they have no depreciation expense because they depreciated it all. So what does the future mean for replacing these assets? Obviously, the useful life is usually a pretty good determination of how long they're going to last. But if they have to go out and replace 1.5 million in assets, how are they going to do it? I know they're making a revenue income, so a net income, so it is helpful that they have that. That was my only concern. But it is a well-run district, and I'm pleased that for a small community like that, it's doing well. Fire department needs some help, but the water district's doing pretty good.
Commissioner Roden.
I noticed that they only have $30,000 in reserve in point award, and so even if they're operating well, they're not. It doesn't look like they're saving for future replacement of major infrastructures. I wondered if analyst Crump had comments about that, about the fact that their reserves are low given the infrastructure replacement needs. And I also was drawn to the same paragraph that Commissioner Horsley was about the leaking tank, and it said that they had put in a new liner in 2014, and then the next sentence says district staff also shared that the tank is leaking, and so I wondered, did that mean that it's leaking again, and maybe just adding the word again to the same tank? I didn't know. Perhaps you were referring to a different tank. So they put in a new liner, but now they have a leak again. That would just make that a little bit more clear. So that's all I had to say, was basically about the lack of reserves or sufficient reserves, if I'm reading it correctly. Thanks.
Thank you. And Commissioner Gonzalez, did you have another? Oh. All right, I'm not seeing any additional pins, so I'd like to.
If Analyst Crump could respond to the question about reserves.
Analyst Crump, do you have an answer about the question about reserves?
Yes, thank you for your question. Currently, for this section, we had just provided the information we were provided from the district, and it could definitely be fleshed out because it does seem, in comparison to looking at other MSR studies, that it is a little bit lower. I also understand that the district doesn't maintain any formal policies related to reserves, but we can certainly expand upon that for the public hearing report, just to add more of a narrative regarding the reserve accounts.
What about capital? I mean, that's actually what I'm thinking about. What is their capital reserve? Do you have that handy? I
think I can pull it up here.
Jen, if I may just make a comment. We received their updated financial information just a couple of weeks ago, so I think that we can spend some more time developing this section with the updated audit that we received.
Right. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
On that same page as our leaking water tank is the statement that they're pursuing grant applications, but that those would not be available until July 2025, but that they're going to be working with a consulting firm, and I would be interested to know what the consulting firm's view of the grant process at this point is looking like.
Great. I think I see both Analyst Crump and EO have been nodding their heads that can be included in the next update for this commission. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional pins, so I'd like to just make sure that there are no questions from the audience in Ukiah or online. I don't have any hands raised. So with that, there's no formal action to be taken today. The public hearing will be scheduled for a commission meeting in the future, and we can move on to item 6B, the Russian River Flood Control District draft MSR and sphere of influence update. And is this also Analyst Crump or E.O. Hinman?
I will take this one.
Okay, thank you.
I have a brief presentation, and I want to note also that Elizabeth Salomon from the Russian River Flood Control District General Manager is here as well today. Okay, this is a workshop on the Mendocino County Russian River Flood Control Water Conservation Improvement District. Again, I will not go over what an MSR is. This is the second MSR for the district. The first was adopted in 2013, and the last sphere update was in 2016, I believe. The Russian River Flood Control District was formed under special legislation in 1955 for the purpose of being a local sponsor along with Sonoma Water for development of Coyote Dam and Lake Mendocino. The district is approximately 51,000 acres in size. They do provide raw water supply to 52 agricultural customers, and they also provide raw water to 7 municipal water customers. The district is governed by a 5-member board of trustees. They currently have 1 full-time staff member, which is the general manager. They also have contract staffing and services for legal counsel, financial auditor, and then consultants and engineers as needed. The boundary is the blue line in the middle. So here, this is broken into the northern half and the southern half because it's so large. So to the north, the boundary is just north of the Highway 20 as it takes off towards Lake County. To the south, it is just north of the county border. And to the east and west, it is the extent of Ukiah Valley. The sphere of influence is quite a bit larger, and it generally follows the Russian River watershed boundary. So it goes north to the top of the Ridgewood Grade and south and east along the county border. The primary water supply source is Lake Mendocino, water that is stored and released in Lake Mendocino. They have rights to 7,940 acre feet annually. They have their water supply contractors, and municipal water supply contractors include Calpella County Water District, Millview, Willow County Water District, Hopland Public Utilities District, and then several mutual water companies. The MSR goes into some detail about a proposed boundary change that will be coming to LAFCO, not sure when, that will make the Russian River Flood Control District boundaries coterminous with their place of use boundaries. It is almost coterminous now. The inclusion of Redwood Valley County Water District into their boundary will make that coterminous. So right now, Redwood Valley County Water District may purchase surplus water from the Flood Control District under a stipulated judgment, and they're allowed to purchase up to 4,000 acre feet annually if it is available. If they're located within the place of use, or they are located within the place of use already, but if they are located within the boundary, they will be able to contract directly with the district under a uniform water sale and purchase agreement. It will result in increased water reliability for the water district, and also will make their boundaries and place of use. The sphere of influence, again, is the plan for the probable future boundary and service area of an agency. Sphere was last updated in 2017. There are no proposed changes to the sphere, so even with the proposed annexation, that is located within the current sphere for the district. The district does concur with that recommendation. So today we are holding the workshop for the commission to review, discuss, and request revisions on the draft study and welcome public comment. No formal action will be taken on the study today. We will schedule a public hearing for that purpose. That concludes presentation, although I want to thank Beth Salamone and the ad hoc committee from the district for all their work on this study. They've been very helpful in the study.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Commissioner Horsley.
I just want to say I can see Beth's detail all the way through this, so it's very good, excellent. I do have one question. I'm not quite sure that I'm just misunderstanding, but on page 245, the first paragraph, it says the current LAFCO boundary is coterminous with the district State Water Resources Control Board licensed place of use. The current LAFCO boundary? What does that mean?
We were trying to differentiate between place of use boundary and the jurisdictional boundary. We could change that to jurisdictional boundary.
Well, is it LAFCO's boundary?
LAFCO is responsible for setting boundaries.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I get it. Okay.
It's different verbiage.
Okay, got it. All right. Yeah, that could be a little confusing. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional questions? I'm not seeing any, so I'd like to open it up for public comment. Do you have anything you would like to add?
Hi, Beth Salamone, Flood Control District. I just want to thank Uma for all her hard work. This has been a great collaboration between the two of us. We love working together from my days back at LAFCO. So it was very helpful to go through, great to know how much I know about the district. And I think this is going to be a great document for onboarding new trustees, for transparency to the public, and for preparing the district and the larger community for the changes that are going to be happening in the future regarding the Trans-Basin diversion of the Eel River. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Commissioner Gonzalez and then Commissioner Ward.
I just want to say thank you for our staff and you for this. Honestly, I was always kind of curious about the history, and being from Willits, I kind of knew a little bit from what people told me, but this was great. There was a good primer for how all this came to be. So thank you all.
Commissioner Ward?
Yeah. Do you anticipate raising rates?
Yes, we're going to be raising rates every year, most likely to cover the increasing costs of securing the future water supply, the current and future water supply.
So you'll be a positive net income soon then?
I believe we always are for the most part.
You lost $42,000.
There was one year where the board made a decision during the budgeting process to burn down some of the reserves operating wise so that they could even out the need for the rate increase like you were talking about earlier, so there wasn't such a huge jump. But so the district is unlike other special districts, other water districts that have to follow Prop 218. We do not have to follow Prop 218. So annually, the board sets its expense budget, and from the expenses, then the rates are set to cover the expenses. So if you go onto our website now, you'll see at our board meeting tonight, we have a preliminary look at our coming fiscal year budget, and the board will have some decisions to make about expenses, so therefore the rates will adjust to that. So we have a very fine control over our rates. And in fact, last year they actually reduced them. It happened that a couple years ago we were looking at potential projects that we would need to participate in or run throughout the year. A lot of that is done through the Mendocino County Inland Water and Power Commission. And at that time, we did not have control over how the projects would come about, when, how much they would cost, etc. So we had to make some very big guesstimates. So we did that, our rates increased, and then the following year, there was more information about refining these projects, so the board was actually able to reduce the rates from $68 an acre foot to $61. This year, we'll probably hit around the 65, 66 mark. And I estimate, based just on my intuitive understanding of how our budget increases each year, probably $4 to $6 an acre foot each year, unless some major expense comes in through IW.
So let me get this right. You did reduce your sales then?
The cost per acre foot.
Yeah, because that's basically what happened is your sales went down $25,000 from last year to this year. So curious why that happened.
That's why it happened. I just explained.
Yeah. Everything's going up, but sales went down.
The amount of water we sold did not. The board's decision on how much to charge for that water did.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Just a quick question. Why don't you have to follow 218? Is it?
That would be a question for our attorney.
So it's one of those legal things then?
Yeah, we're not a retail water district. We don't retail sales. We're a wholesaler. So we supply wholesale water to the retailers, and then they have to set that right.
Okay, thank you.
Not seeing any additional questions.
I'll just add one more thing. In the audited figures, I don't know what figure that is, but it mentions that the non-operating expenses shows IWPC contributions at $208,000. I was looking at it last night and I thought, oh, that looks a little off. And I just confirmed with our auditor that is a combination of contributions to IWPC and the Groundwater Sustainability Agency, which we will no longer have to contribute to. It is now directly issuing fees to the public. So I want to thank Commissioner Horsley also. I got an email this morning saying, she said that had the same thought. And that's so funny because, you know, our accountant has looked over the audit, our board members, I've looked at it, and I don't know how many times we read the MSR between him and I still didn't pick that up until last night. So I will offer clarifying language for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Seeing no one come forward and having no hands raised online, we can move on to item 7A, informational update on the Potter Valley project proceedings. And would you like me to just welcome Janet Polly to the LAFCO meeting? She's been here before to update us in the past, and there have been some new developments. So good morning, welcome.
Good morning again. So I'm going to wear my other hat. I'm chair of the Mendocino County Water and Power Commission. We're a joint powers authority formed in 1996, purpose to protect water from diversion from the Potter Valley project, and then we morphed into being a local non-federal sponsor with the Army Corps of Engineers looking at raising Coyote Valley Dam in the early 2000s. That fell away, but I have good news at the end of this. I hope it's good news. But I know that there are several commissioners that are very up to speed on IWPC and the PG&E FERC process, but I'm not sure if everyone is. So I'm going to give a really brief overview. I mean, literally, there's between 1908 and 2019, there are decades of details, which you don't need to know. What you do need to know is that Potter Valley project has diverted water from the Eel River into the Russian River. Since 1908, that was run of the river then, which means it was only diverted in the wintertime. In 1922, Scott Dam was built, forming Lake Pillsbury, and that was done so that there could be a summer supply of water. This was originally done for hydropower production. After 1922, the water supply being available in the summer changed the way our water supply worked in the Russian River. So since 1922, summer water has been available for this region. PG&E had a license that expired in 1972, a 50-year license. It was licensed, and the new license ran until 2022. In 2017, PG&E began the process of the next relicensing, but in 2019, they determined that they were going to withdraw their notice of intent to relicense, and FERC asked if there were any entities that were willing to step up and take over this project from PG&E. A group of partners formed, IWPC, Sonoma Water, Humboldt County, Caltrout, and the Round Valley Tribes. We worked until the license expired in 2022, could not come up with funding, and so that process fell away. At that point in time, FERC, again, this is licensed by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, ordered PG&E to begin to decommission the project. It was later in 2022 when Inland Water and Power Commission, Sonoma Water, and the Round Valley Tribes began to work with PG&E to negotiate whether or not we could retain part of the facilities for the diversion so that a diversion could continue into the future. PG&E had made it very clear by that point in time that their decision about the project being uneconomically feasible for them to continue, they were going to remove the entire project. So we began to negotiate with them to see if we could find a way to make sure that the diversion continued, and not the diversion that exists in total, but a more environmentally up-to-date, modernized facility. PG&E agreed to work with us. There was funding that was made available so we could start to get engineering work done on what's called the New Eel Russian Facility, or NERF, and that's been underway for a couple of years now. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we formed a JPA called IRPA, the Eel Russian River Project Authority, and that was formed because PG&E requested that we have some kind of a more formal entity to negotiate with them. And that's just had a couple of meetings, and we're moving forward with hopefully a next meeting in the next 2 months. So where are we now? PG&E in December prepared their draft, it was early January, their draft license surrender plan, and it went to the public for comment. Apparently they've received over 600 comments. They're not going to release those to the public, but they're preparing a summary of the comments that they received, and we haven't seen that yet. The partners that I mentioned are original with working with PG&E for a new diversion facility, which included IWPC, Sonoma Valley, and the Round Valley Tribe, was then joined by Humboldt County, Caltrout, Trout Unlimited, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And we've been working on preparing first an MOU between those groups on a water diversion agreement, and that is continuing. The MOU was completed. That's a non-binding MOU. We had a ceremony in Sacramento. The next step of that will be to prepare a formal water diversion agreement. And so basically the MOU is an outline for what that's going to look like. The MOU describes how the Round Valley Tribes will be taking over the water right. They have senior water rights on the eel, and we will be leasing water from the Round Valley Tribe. There was also a request for funding to be made available to the Eel River from Russian River water users to fund a restoration fee. And the Round Valley Tribe is also going to take that those restoration funds, and use them working with their other partners in the eel for restoration projects. Now the PG&E is required to prepare a final license surrender plan and file it with FERC at the end of July. And that is what they are working on. We have basically every other week meetings with PG&E and our partnership, looking at how that's moving forward. PG&E did include the NERF project, the new diversion facility, in their description, in their draft license surrender plan that they released earlier this year. So that was very, very good news. I'll pause there for a minute. I know that's a lot of information in a few short minutes, but to see if there are any questions before I move on to the next item that I'd really like to discuss today.
Okay. Commissioner Ward, go ahead.
I just have a basic question, and I'm a little bit confused because we were forwarded a letter from, and I don't have it in front of me, from a tribe member who was apparently an elder, and he was adamantly against the diversion. And so I guess my simple question is that the Round Valley tribes are on board with the diversion and that they are, so, and also does every member of IRPA have to agree? Does it have to be unanimous when you're going forward with diversion issues and such? I mean, could it get down the road to where the tribes say, no, we're not going that far, we're going to do it the other way, whatever, you know, I mean, so I'm a little confused about the tribe.
It's a very confusing topic, I will tell you. I don't know who the letter came from that you're referring to. There are tribal members in Round Valley that are adamantly opposed to the diversion continuing, just like many other groups in the Eel River. There are also people on this side of the project that are adamantly opposed to us trying to move forward with a new diversion facility, and the process as it stands right now between PG&E and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. So it's not without controversy. It has always been very controversial, this project. The Round Valley Tribe, the Tribal Council, is supporting this diversion. And IRPA, the new JPA that's been formed, the member agencies of that, let me tell you what the votes are. Mendocino County Inland Water and Power Commission has 2 votes. Sonoma Water and Sonoma County each have a vote. And the Round Valley Tribe sits on the IRPA JPA, but they have no vote, but they are there in a consulting position. So Humboldt County, CalTrout, Trout Unlimited, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, they are not part of the IRPA board. The IRPA board was formed specifically to work with PG&E moving forward in owning, operating, and funding the new diversion facility. So that's how that is going to work. Mari?
I'll go to
sorry.
Commissioner Ward and then Commissioner Roden.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, we have a little system going.
Yeah, I have an additional question. You mentioned the board members for the IRF. I only heard 4. Is there 5?
The 5th one is the Round Valley Tribe that sit as.
But they don't vote.
That they don't vote.
So
And
it
they
could
have
be
no,
a 2.
and they have no financial obligation to fund.
So you could have a 2-2 split.
You could.
Which could create some issues for you too. You mentioned that the Round Valley Tribe has the water rights that go way back, and you're going to lease water back from them. Have you worked out a lease agreement with them?
We're in the process of doing that. That'll be part of the water diversion agreement that we're formally finalizing.
Are you feel comfortable you'll get a reasonable rate?
We know we're going to be paying $1 million a year.
Wow.
That's the agreed upon term point in time.
Good luck. And then there's a report due at the end of June or the end of July?
PG&E will file their final license decommissioning plan with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission at the end of July. And at that point in time, FERC takes over. They will analyze it. There will be a complete NEPA analysis. And at the end of that period of time, whatever it is, 1, 2, 4 years from now, they will prepare an order for PG&E to follow for the final decommissioning of the project.
So I assume we'll be talking about it, Uma, in the future when this report comes in to see how it all comes back. I mean, it's not going to affect the MSR, but it'd be nice to know what's going on. $1 million, Janet, man, that's a lot of money for, I don't know how many customers you have, but.
All of the people who beneficially use the water from the Potter Valley project.
If I was on the tribal council, I'd say I'd love it. I'm supporting this for $1 million a year. Thank you.
Okay, and then one more thing finally. Any more questions on Potter Valley?
And Commissioner Roden.
What are PG&E's obligations, if any, to respond to the comments on the draft decommissioning plan?
None that I
And
know
so
of.
what happens with those comments? I mean, what significance are they?
I
What-
think they're significant to PG&E because they want to anticipate what the comments will be on their final license surrender plan, decommissioning plan that goes to FERC. And by doing this, they've got a heads up. What kinds of comments are they going to get? And I understand that a lot of the comments were the form letter type comments that you often see from different advocacy groups, but I don't know. Nothing has changed from my perspective with the path we're on post those comments being filed with PG&E. So I don't understand if there's anything that is worrying them. I don't know.
Commissioner Mahoney.
I just have a follow-up. So between now and who knows when, every year PG&E will continue to file annual lease agreements so that from the Potter Valley point of view, nothing is changing until all of these agreements are.
The license is currently in place and will remain in place until the project is surrendered. However, because you may or may not be aware, PG&E can't close the gates anymore at Lake Pillsbury at Scott Dam because of a potential dam safety issue. So the lake will never fill as much as it had in the past, which means that the amount of water that they have to release in the summertime is, because of some physical conditions with temperature, they have every year done a variance so that they're not complying with the original license. They don't have to because of these other conditions. They're trying to put into place a variance now that's permanent, that will reduce the flows through the project to what they've been for the last several years permanently, so we'll never go back to their license. That hasn't been done yet, so we're not sure exactly if that's going. We hope it doesn't, and we've been making comments asking FERC not to allow that variance to occur, at least not a permanent variance. Every year should be analyzed based on what the water year situation is, wet year, or dry year, or critically dry year. At any rate, so that's still underway right now. Those negotiations are underway. But until the project is formally decommissioned, which means the order is in and Scott Dam is removed, Cape Horn Dam is removed, and right now our new diversion facility is in place, the project will remain under the license that it's had since 1972, and then again in 2006 when that second relicensing occurred. It took from 1972 to 2006 to relicense the project. One of those details, decade-long details.
Thank you. And I think you had more to add.
I just wanted to add one more thing. Week before last, there was a signing of the new feasibility cost share agreement between Mendocino County Inland Water and Power Commission, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Lytton Rancheria. Lytton Rancheria and IWPC are going to be co-sponsors with the Corps moving forward on a new feasibility cost share agreement, looking at potentially raising Coyote Valley Dam, increasing storage at that facility, which would help our local water supply resiliency, would give us more storage space, because that's really the key to the any changes in the Potter Valley project, which we're anticipating we're going to need to deal with. Raising Coyote Valley Dam will help us be able to store more of that water that's available. And then, of course, we're going to be needing to look at more storage in Potter Valley, for example, and potentially other places in the watershed as we move forward. So that's a good news.
Thank you. Thank you for coming this morning and sharing this update with the commissioners.
Thanks.
Are there any members of the public that have questions or comments? I'm not seeing anyone come forward in the room, and I have no hands raised online. So with that, we can move on to our next informational update on the Ukiah Valley Water Authority. And that gentlemen would like to come forward and introduce yourselves. please.
Good morning, it's Sean White, Director of Water Resource for the City of Ukiah.
Good morning, Jared Walker, Deputy Director of Water Resources, City of Ukiah.
We just were invited to come here. We'll give you as much information as you would like. We don't really know how familiar you are, but quick background, Jared and I began meeting about 2.5 years ago after I was contacted by state's new program, SAFER, which is a program that basically incentivizes consolidation of water districts by helping pay for needed infrastructure and other things to sort of provide a little carrot out there. Jared and I met for probably about 6 months or so, and Jared, jump in please at any time, before deciding to work with our electeds and see if we could get this going. So we met with our electeds for, again, about 2 years. After that, we had an ad hoc that consisted of representatives from Redwood County Water District, Calpella County Water District, Millview County Water District, the City of Ukiah, and Willow County Water District. And at the end of those meetings or negotiations, we ended up forming what's now known as the Ukiah Valley Water Authority, which is a JPA that is similar to one that was here previously called IRWA, but it's different in that SAFER, for us to be essentially entitled to receive SAFER funding, that JPA had to directly contemplate consolidation and basically commit to it over time. So after we signed that JPA, initially it was just the city, Redwood, and Millview. There were still some concerns both at Willow and Calpella, but since that time, everybody that was part of the original meeting has joined. As of January of this year, as part of that JPA, all of the employees that used to work at Willow now for the City of Ukiah, and everything is being run under one roof, which has been sort of a long valley goal. And it's already really, I think, delivered some great benefits. Jared has a whole suite of knowledge that we didn't have. Our crews have other types of facilities and different experience, same with his crews, and together we also have enough bodies and equipment to take on things that we couldn't have done prior. And we are looking forward to sort of taking the next step, which will be some eventual annexations. Those are really being spearheaded by our planning staff, and we can't really say much. I know there's some sort of application forthcoming. We have a lot of meetings with them. We don't really know what the final shape of that shape will be like. I will say from sort of the operational and water supply things so far, obviously had some growing pains. There's lots of moving parts and new territory for everyone, but overall very successful. Jared, if you want to add anything.
I don't think I have anything to add at this point. Questions at this point for us, either one?
Are there any commissioners that have questions? Commissioner Ward.
Oops. So the JPA is everybody except for when you annex the valley or the proposed annexation, there is one water district which wasn't included, correct? That's going to be outside the annexation area?
Are you talking about Rogina Water District?
No, that's a private company.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought there was one. Anyway, so the intent is to, and I've always been in favor since I've been up here, to consolidate the water district. But you're doing it in such a way that it's going to be a JPA. But then when the city annexes the area, is that JPA still going to exist?
That JPA will still exist, because I don't think the city in any form contemplates annexing everything from Willow to Redwood in one simultaneous bit. So the JPA is structured in a way that whichever, as districts get annexed, the city will assume the votes that that district had previously, but the JPA and all of its provisions will stay in effect.
Do you believe the city's going to want to take over all the districts, water districts one day?
Well, I don't even like to use the word takeover because that's definitely not what's happening. We're already operating all of them cooperatively, right? So right now, everybody that's operating facilities from Redwood all the way to Hopland are all City of Ukiah employees, and the city will start annexing things. I believe Willow and Millview are going to be first on the list. Then after that, the JPA will still be active. The city will just absorb the votes that previously belonged to Willow and Millview, but we'll still be serving Calpella, we'll still be serving Redwood, still serving Hopland and River Estate.
Yeah, obviously it's not before us, but there's going to be some pushback, I think, on that annexation, from what I hear from the grapevine, but we'll tackle that when the time comes. So each water district has 2 representatives on the JPA.
That's correct.
How many does that add up to?
There are 5 districts, so 10.
So 10 board of directors.
There are 10 votes, and right now it's 10 board members, yes.
Okay. Now, another one of those non-odd ones, I guess. I mean, hopefully we'll get along.
I mean, honestly, as contentious as this issue has been for a very long time in the Ukiah Valley, our ad hoc meetings were unbelievably positive and I would say even more constructive than anything I've kind of seen in this region before. There were lots of issues that developed along the way that I think in prior times would have devolved into some sort of, some sort of unpleasantry, and everyone just found whatever problem there was, everyone just went to work and figured out a fair and amicable solution. It took a long time, but really because we were only meeting once a month, but people were all really focused on getting it figured out instead of all of sort of the past things that have kept this from happening, and it went very smoothly.
Little power kingdoms, each one had their own little kingdom. Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to use that sort of phraseology either, but just previously, for whatever reason, people saw these sorts of things as adversarial. And I think people started to see with the changes that, like Janet was talking about, Beth was talking about, the time for us to become a larger, more scalable, more durable and resilient district. It was time. So people all worked towards getting it done.
Yeah, keeping rates low, using economies of scale and stuff. What are you going to spend the 40 to 50 million on, the grant?
Yeah, so that's also a big misnomer. They don't just hand you a giant pile of money and then you got to figure it out. You basically need to do all the engineering to figure out what sort of infrastructure you would need to make this quilt a thing. And once you have that design figured out, you apply for a grant that will reimburse you for that infrastructure. So you get funded for a final engineer design of facilities that you need to make this thing operate as a whole.
And nothing more.
Thank you, Commissioner Horsley, and then we'll go here to my right.
Just to put this in historical context, back in 1990, when Chuck Rowe was city manager here, there was something called the Ukiah Valley Task Force. And there was a consensus of all those people that there should be consolidation, there should be annexation. And then individuals fought it. PG&E, of course, fought it at the time. So I would say going forward, the city tried to annex several times. It was certain individuals that fought it. And now it appears that all the stars are in place, consolidation of the water districts, of the sand district, hopefully. I think that once people get the information that the Ukiah is going to put out about how they're going to do this and what it means, like up at El Dorado or Deerwood, they're not going to require sidewalks, lights, and all this kind of stuff. I think once people read a lot of this information and realize, hey, it's not going to change, it's just going to be the name is different on the, and I had someone say, well, I don't want City of Ukiah on my bill, you know, and I said, well, why? Well, there really is no reason. All it is it's going to be a change on your bill of the name. So I'm hoping that, I mean, this has been going on since 1980. I'm hoping we can reach these goals finally and that people will be acquiesce once they understand real facts.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know who was first, so you guys can, Rochambeau. Oh, your pen is up. Okay, that's okay. Commissioner Roden.
What is the authority determined so far will be the infrastructure needs? Just, I'm curious about a sense of what's in store in that regard.
Sure. Well, we're in the process of doing that now. There are some that are known. The interconnection, say, between Lake Millview and Redwood Valley is woefully undersized. That was done intentionally by Department of Drinking Water to make it an emergency-only facility. And it's been one of the main constraints for getting a reasonable amount of water up to Redwood Valley. There are interties between Willow and the city and Millview that are currently all temporal things that are for emergencies. Those would become permanent. We'll need more storage. There's a number of things, and we'll have no trouble spending a lot of money putting those in. Some of those, like the pipeline is, I think, about 8 miles long, but we're in the process of figuring those out with our design firm. And once we know, we'll be able to get a better estimate of what it will all cost.
What is an intertie? I mean, I imagine that it's just where two pipes come together and you can open a sluice or close it. I don't really know though.
Yeah, traditionally, you know, when people have an intertie, there's usually some sort of permanent building there, valving, and a pump to push it either way. But because, again, of some of the constraints of the past, ours just have two pipes that end nearby with valves on both ends. And in the past, historically, they were powered by fire trucks for emergency moments. A few years ago, we secured permanent diesel-powered pumps because we thought probably trying to obligate a fire truck during an emergency was probably not a winning strategy. But what we'd really like to do in the future is just do it correctly and have a permanent facility with all the valving and pumping to make it work via SCADA.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward?
In response to Candace's questions, you know, the annexation and JPA, they're non-exclusive. I mean, you can have one or not have to have them both. So the JPA is a good thing from that aspect. The bad part is we're not going to have any oversight for it, you know, like we do now. The JPA will continue on and no oversight. Now, once it gets annexed, then that's a whole different animal. But they're both non-exclusive. So I like the idea that we finally get it consolidated. We'll see where annexation goes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
For coming. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? Seeing no one come forward in the room and having no hands raised on 9, with those two informational items complete, we can move on to item 7C, the proposed modification of the 24-25 work plan. And E.O. Hinman, I'd like to hand this back over to you.
Thank you. This item starts on page 342 of your agenda packet. With each annual budget, the Commission adopts a work plan that consists of prioritized agency studies for the year. Implementation of the work plan is affected by a number of factors, including responsiveness of the agency, complexity of issues, and changing needs and priorities. The current fiscal year work program identified the inland water agencies for studies, which included 9 agencies, 4 of which are the Ukiah Valley Water Districts that have recently become members of the Ukiah Valley Water Authority. Staff has been coordinating with Water Authority representatives, and we have learned that the City of Ukiah is planning the large annexations that were summarized just now, and that will affect several of the water agencies in our work plan. To allow for those plans to progress, it's recommended that we delay studies for Willow, Millview, Calpella, and Redwood Valley County water districts. Staff is recommending that we do continue to proceed with Hopland PUD, which may be suitable for the streamlined review and is not included, of course, in any potential annexation plans. In delaying the 4 studies, staff is seeking commission approval to initiate the cities of Point Arena and Willits this fiscal year. Point Arena was last reviewed in 2015, and their interim city manager has announced retirement at the end of June. It would be helpful to draw upon her experience and knowledge before that staff transition occurs. The city of Willits has recently adopted a general plan amendment, which includes a proposed sphere of influence that they will be submitting an application to LAFCO for in the coming months. Their last MSR was adopted in 2019, and a concurrent update of that study will benefit their application process. No budget amendment is proposed with the modification of the work plan. The remaining budget in this fiscal year work plan budget item would be applied to initiating these 2 new studies, which have also been have budget allocated to them in next fiscal year's proposed budget. The executive committee discussed the proposed modification at its March 19th meeting and recommends the change for commission consideration. The recommended action is on page 342 of your agenda packet and includes approval of resolution number 2024-2513, modifying the work plan to delay the 4 Ukiah Valley water districts and add the cities of Point Arena and Willits. Also included in the resolution is adding the Mendocino Coast Rec and Park District, which received approval by the commission at its February meeting and is already in. And that concludes my presentation, if there are questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Ward.
I talk too much. So how many districts would fall under the streamline?
Of what's proposed?
The streamline, you mentioned Hopland, but I know there's a bunch of other ones that we could do streamlining with, right? Cemetery districts, for instance.
We would have to take, staff has not done that analysis. We could take a look at the rolling work plan and try to cull those out. I'm not, but for each district, it really takes that initial interview with them to determine whether or not there have been substantial changes.
But I think when we talked about this several months back, you felt there was quite a few that we could probably streamline. But regardless, that was just a question. I'd like to know that in the future so that we can sort of implement that into our work plan and get a lot of those caught up just through the streamline process. With regard to Point Arena, do you think it's you should wait? Because there's a lot going on in Point Arena. They may not even be a city. Why spend $20,000 when they may be not a city?
And that's a good question. We had hoped to benefit from the knowledge of the existing staff before they left, but there is a lot going on in the city. If the commission feels that it would be better to wait on the city of Point Arena until things have settled further.
Well, I'm concerned about it. I know they've talked about it and it's not getting any better.
They've talked about what?
Talked about not be able to continue to be a city because of the deaths there. And they had problems. I don't know how long the city manager's been there, but my dealing with the city, I've gone through 3 or 4 city managers. And it goes all the way back even prior to Richard Shoemaker. So I don't know the institutional knowledge of this particular one. How long has she been there?
2 years.
I think of very long, but yeah, the pier and everything there's a lot going on over there, and whether they're going to be able to maintain it's only 400 people and a mile-long city, so they've talked about it, but again, I don't know. I just hate to spend money on something that may not come about, and what benefit would we get out of it?
Commissioner Ward, I always appreciate your ability to spill any kind of tea until we have any formal action that we've been asked to participate in. I think, for me, part of the
I just
MSR
don't wanna
and
spend money.
SOI for all of the small districts, including the work that we're going to start on the fire districts, and including what would happen in Point Arena, it's really important for those elected representatives to be informed about what is happening within the district. And I think without the expertise and knowledge that comes from having a LAFCO, MSR, SOI, they may not have that information. So whether or not we need this particular city manager's expertise, I leave that up to UMA to consider. But I do think that MSRs and SOIs are informative for districts to be able to figure out how they should best move forward. Commissioner Rodin.
Well, I thought that was a good question you had. I wondered if the city does dissolve, it obviously would come under the jurisdiction of the county as an unincorporated area, and could the MSR be helpful to the county if that happens? So, I mean, I'm just not sure that it would be a total waste, So anyway, that was just a thought I had.
Commissioner Ward, do you want to go before Commissioner
I wasn't
Gonzalez,
done,
or?
actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But same thing with the city of Willits. I mean, they're coming in with an annexation process, but we're going to do an SOI, and we don't know if it's going to get approved yet.
They will be coming in with a sphere of influence amendment application. So the proposal is to prepare the municipal service review, which is needed to support that sphere amendment application. So it would be it would be just an MSR, not the sphere update portion.
Well, I appreciate the MSRs in the district, so there's $40,000 that I'm hoping that we will use. But sometimes I'm done.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
As far as Point Arena, I think it would be beneficial, even if, I've heard the rumors too, but I think they're still spinning around. But I think even if they disincorporated they'd still have their water, sewer, whatever they're doing there, turned into some sort of district of some sort.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that we'll wait and find out what they're going to do and then do the MSR.
Just appreciate it if Uma could respond to my question about could the information be beneficial to the county if they were to become.
I think it would be beneficial to both the county and the city. It may help provide information to the city regarding what LAFCO looks at. Any dissolution or any disincorporation, would come to LAFCO as part of the process, and then we would, the commission would be tasked with, finding a successor agency, which in this case would be the county. So having an updated MSR that really details out the services provided by the city and their finances could be very beneficial.
Commissioner Klein?
Yeah, I'm curious to our executive officer's opinion on perhaps delaying this a year, Point Arenas, in reference to Point Arenas. Just your thoughts on that, if it would help inform the conversation if we had more concrete.
I mean, it's up to the commission whether they would like to have it delayed. It's been on our list of priority agencies to review for a number of years now. So we decided to bring that forward, and after having a conversation with the current city manager, when we learned that she was retiring, we thought it would be good to, have that information instead of kind of throwing it on to a new staff person. But if the commission feels that there is benefit in delaying for, a year or two, then we can certainly do that.
I was just curious on your thoughts, so thank you for sharing that.
Commissioner Ward?
When you talk to the city manager, they have another person coming in?
Not yet. They are in a recruitment process right now.
They've always had trouble finding people for such a small city. I mean, I could see the wisdom maybe in an MSR going forward with the idea that we get the financials, we get their whatever, and we say, you guys are going bankrupt. But we, as an agency, cannot dissolve them on our own. So maybe it would help dissolve them if we do the MSR and show that they're not a very viable operation here.
Well, it may help inform any decisions.
And hopefully there's enough council members. I know a couple of council members have already quit too, so it's a mess. But I'm willing to move forward. 20,000, what the heck.
Commissioner Roden?
Well, I don't think it's just the money or not the money. I think it's the information. It sounds like the information is important to gather for going any potential direction that we have and that's the benefit of an MSR. That's the purpose. So whether they disincorporate or not, I think having an MSR by a professional analyst would be really beneficial. I think we'd be doing a service by moving forward. It sounds like to me, I haven't heard any objection to that really holds water.
Are there, oh, please go ahead.
I'm just curious, wouldn't it be beneficial to have a discussion with the city council there or the manager and ask them where we are right now, and do they want to move forward or not? Because it's their decision. Sorry?
E.O. Hinman, I'm wondering if you've been able to communicate. It sounds like you've communicated with the city manager in Point Arena about this already.
I have spoken with, the current city manager.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that person did think it was important to move forward with the MSR?
I think she could have gone either way. I think she feels very overwhelmed at the moment, trying to prepare for the transition. And as Commissioner Ward said, they have a lot going on, and they're trying to really come up with solutions for remaining solvent. We have not reached out to the city council, which, we can certainly staff can do more research and look into it further, have further discussions on it if the commission wishes for that to occur before making a decision on this.
Commissioner Horsley?
I would assume that the city council and the city manager know what their financial situation is. It's not going to take an MSR to explain that to them. And I think that's a good idea to talk to the city manager or the city council and say, hey, do you think this is worthwhile at this point? Or are you really at the crux of becoming unincorporated? Because it is $20,000, and I would assume that they know what their financial situation.
Commissioner Ward, did you have another?
The executive committee, we met with the lady already once. Talked to them about it again because that 23,000 is really important in our. They've already made the direction they would do that. Mm-hmm. And it's going to help them.
Well, following the executive committee meeting, I did reach out to Kathy Wiley, their administrator, and requested that, or asked if she would be willing to take that issue forward to their board for consideration during their budget development phase. I have not heard back from her yet, so I will keep the commission informed.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So on your agenda item for item 7C, you do have a recommended action that lists 2 updates to the work program. So I'm looking for direction for E.L. Hinman, removal of the MSR SOI updates for Willow, Millview, Calpella, and Redwood Valley Water from the schedule, and including MSR SOI updates for Mendocino Coast Recreation and Park District and the cities of Point Arena and Willits. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'd like to make sure we have public comment on this before we move forward? Sorry about that, Mr. Speck. If you could please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Mulharen. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'll keep my comments brief. Again, Dave Spock with the Mendocino Coast Recreation and Park District, Chair of the Board of Directors. I want to thank E.O. Hinman and the Commission for your support in advancing the MSR for the Recreation and Park District. Without going through the history, I think it's important to recognize that one of the driving impetus elements for this MSR now, recognizing again the kind of the full plate that this commission and staff have already, is precisely this issue of profound change that's affected the district over the last 3-5 years, but also going back further than that. This is a very important step for the district to have the benefit of the MSR, the objective basis of information upon which the district will make fundamental decisions going forward about its operations and the way that it spends taxpayer money and charges fees for services. In some ways, the Recreation and Park District situation is analogous to the city of Point Arena, a very small jurisdiction that's gone through tremendous changes, and a recognizable and objectively apparent a bit of chaos and dynamism in its own staffing condition. Anecdotally, the news from Point Arena is that City Manager Ducey and the City Council are turning corners and heading toward positive outcomes, and not without a great deal of pain. But what that city needs, much like the district, is an objective assessment of its existing conditions and its capacity going forward, financially, operationally, within current conditions and also anticipated circumstances that are facing county entities all over the place. So again, I want to thank the Commission for your support for the Recreation and Park District work and encourage the district to enable the city of Point Arena the benefit of the evidence and data that would come from municipal service review, particularly now when they are standing at the brink of some very important existential decisions. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. I don't have any additional hands raised online, so I'd like to come back to the Commission. Commissioner Ward.
So the recommended action, would it help if we postpone it 1 month? You need a decision today?
No, we can certainly postpone it. I did want to just say, as Mr. Spock was speaking, LAFCO has an obligation to review all spheres of influence every 5 years or as needed. We have some flexibility locally in delaying those, pending local circumstances. But just as a reminder that is an obligation of LAFCO, of the Commission, to do that. And I think that also applies to the healthcare district. So it's something to keep in mind. We do have that flexibility, and in particular with the healthcare district, it is not determined as one of our municipal service providers. So we have local policy that allows us to delay those further than the 5-year review. But I wanted to just make that point, so thank you.
Thank you.
We haven't done it for many, many years.
Commissioner
We're
Horsley.
striving.
I would make a motion.
Okay, please do.
Okay, I would make a motion to delay the water districts that are recommended they be delayed, that we go forward with the city of Willits, but that we hold off on Point Arena until we get a little bit more information from Point Arena to find out where.
I'll second.
Roll call, please. Oh, that was Commissioner Klein.
Commissioner Roden?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney? Commissioner Horsley? Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Klein?
Aye.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
And Chair Mulhern?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have a few more items to consider. Item 7D, the ad hoc committee to implement a request for proposals for financial audit services. E.O. Hinman?
Yes, thank you. This is an item that was brought forward and discussed at the executive committee meeting, and we have discussed it a little bit already during the budget, proposed budget hearing. We have been contracting with Paling and Paling for audits for now 11 years, and so the question came forward as to whether to continue with him or whether to go out to an RFP for a new auditor. So this is an item that is requesting commission feedback on how we would like to proceed for the fiscal year 24-25 audit.
Commissioner Ward.
I would recommend that we go to bid for the 26-27 year and request a proposal from Paling and Paling for the 25-26 year. And then it gives us opportunity then to know what our budget expense will be for the next fiscal year rather than the current one. So I'd recommend that and see if we can get that around the same rate that we're getting now. And then we can go to bid, and then I'd like to know what that bid would be before we develop our budget. Right now, it's hard to develop a budget when you don't know what the expenses are.
Second. Well, just a point of clarification. Do you also mean to have them do the 24-25 audit?
You said 25.
Okay. Are there any commissioners with questions? I'm not seeing any pins up. Are there any members of the public that have questions? Not seeing any hands, and we have no individuals in the room. Roll call, please. Oh, we need to appoint an ad hoc. You need two commissioners. That's part 2.
So if we are going to, we can delay the RFP process if the commission would prefer, if we are going with Paling for this fiscal year.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. An ad hoc yet.
Oh. Okay. Just disregard. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner Klein.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Commissioner Horsley.
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney. Yes. Commissioner Roden. Thank you.
I just like
Commissioner Mulhern is a no.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chair Mulhern.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have one more. I just want to make a comment that was brought up at the executive committee that there are other auditors out there, and I think Russian River Flood Control used, it was in our packet, their auditor, and it was like 30 pages. And I think it was a little overkill. I don't know what I'd like to know what they spent on that audit. But I did talk to my CPA who does my personal, who's done a lot of these audits for these districts, and that's Rick Bowers. And he's no longer going to do them because it's just too complicated and whatnot. So the amount of people auditing these districts is getting shorter and shorter lists. So I think we're doing the right thing. If we can get Paling to do it and then go out to bid and see. And then if we don't like the bids, we can always continue with Paling. I know it's 11 years, but you know what? It's not like our audits are going out to the, the Wall Street people. Nobody reads them anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for letting me make that.
Thank you.
I'll shut up.
You're doing great. Thank you. Item 8A is our work plan, current and future proposals. Anything to report, E.O. Hinman?
I have no new updates to go over. So just
And
the
we
staff
have
report.
we have no correspondence received for item 8B. Is there anything on item 8C, the Cal LAFCO business and legislative report?
We do have a letter from Cal LAFCO. The Cal LAFCO board is in your agenda packet on page 354. They are continuing to work hard to realign themselves to better serve the membership. So they have a number of staff on board now that are really wonderful and trusted. Then we have Jose Enriquez, who is the interim executive director. He's also the EO for Sacramento LAFCO and has been with LAFCOs for many, many years. Pamela Miller has been hired. She's a consultant. She's also the previous executive director for Cal LAFCO and has a lot of credibility with the agency as well as with the member LAFCOs. And they brought on Jenny Tickler as the administrative person, and she also served with Pamela Miller. They are reviewing their policy and bylaws and updating those as needed, again, to better serve the member LAFCOs. And they're hosting regional focus groups and visioning sessions to engage each of the LAFCOs. And they're facilitating a focus group for staff at the upcoming staff workshop, which is this month. They're continuing to increase their communications and transparency with all of the LAFCOs, which has been great. There is also they held a planning retreat in March, and that summary is on page 356 of your agenda packet. I won't go over that, but it is there, and I'm happy to follow up with any more information if the commissioners are interested. And then finally, attachment 3, it's been some time since they had a legislative update, but there is a list of legislation that Cal LAFCO follows, and that is included in your packet for information. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I don't see any commissioner questions, so are there any members of the committees that would like to report anything?
Did we pass 8A?
Yeah. Would you like to?
I mean, we didn't really discuss anything on 8A, did we?
No, there wasn't an update.
Wasn't an update. No update on the tax sharing agreement with the districts?
No. Thanks for asking.
I keep asking because I hope one day it's going to say, we got it done.
I'm currently a one-person
You're it?
Negotiating team, and I'm doing my best. Thank you very much. Okay, moving back on to item 8D, the executive officer's report. Did you have anything, Uma?
I just wanted to provide an update on the special district alternate member election. It is proceeding. We received 2 nominations, Dave Schbach from the Mendocino Coast Rec and Park District and Adam Gaska of Redwood Valley County Water District. Ballots have been distributed on March 24th, and the deadline for district ballots is April 30th at noon. For an election to be valid, ballots must be received from a quorum of special districts, so we need at least 25 districts to vote and respond by the deadline. If we don't receive that, then we would have to extend it 60 days. So that is the process, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions?
That's an alternate position?
It's the alternate,
Okay.
which has been vacant, and it's a remainder of Commissioner Kristen's term, so I think it's till the end of 2026.
Yes.
How much does it cost us to do this? I mean, to do an election or to conduct?
It's staff time, so
Yeah, I
15
just
to
wondered it. Yeah.
15 to 20 hours for probably the whole process.
Commissioner Klein, did you have a question?
I was just kind of curious about the coastal representation historically on this commission, and so that's what I was asking my colleague over here, because I don't think there's anyone currently on that represents any coastal jurisdiction. Is that correct?
That's correct. At the time, we don't have anyone from the coast.
Okay, thank
Come
you.
and gone time I've been on here, either a lot of interest or no interest.
Okay, thank you. Is there a way for us to have them? It's me, it's my fault. Is there a way for us to have a secondary location like other boards and commissions do, so that if there is someone from a coastal area, they can be at the Avila Center or wherever?
That's certainly something we could look into, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner reports, comments, or questions? Seeing none, with that, we can adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Promise not to talk.
You just said so much. It's like a high school drama department.